Here is a really quick breakdown of the add-ons I use. I know a lot of people have been asking. I'll just show you from here quick. So for add-ons, we use Atlas Loot to see what drops from bosses. We use Auctionator, which allows you to sell an item automatically at the lowest price and to buy items at the lowest price. Big debuffs, I believe that's this add-on that shows cat form, or it'll show other stances or cooldowns or debuffs on inside the character portrait. And then Button Forge. This is the #1 add-on I'd recommend for action bars. It allows you to keep your default UI while also creating new action bars, as you'll see later on when I show how I got to this point right here. I tried using Dominoes and the other one, LVUI, except I felt like it changed the interface too much and I want to keep it basic. And then decursive, that's what this box is. So if someone has a curse or poison, it'll show a grid of everyone in the party or raid, and you just simply click and it'll remove it instead of targeting the person or using a mouse over or trying to keep track in the frames. It'll just appear right here. Details, to track damage. It also has a plugin too for threat as well, which you want to use if you're trying to keep track of threat. Diminishes for PvP. Cooldown pulse. So what this does is, in the center of a screen after I use a cooldown, it will show here when it comes off cooldown. So we'll check in 20 seconds and then you'll be able to see it. Really quick. Druid buffs, that's up here just to help me keep track of when someone needs a buff. Fishing buddy, if you're a fisherman, then this will help keep track. Here it is. That's what the Doom cooldown pulse looks like. Fishing buddy just keeps track of what you fish. Gear menu, so that's this add-on down here. What it lets you do is create a bar and put any items on that bar, and also you can keybind stuff too. So I mostly have it to keep track of what I have on, and also to keybind different items. So for the back piece, it's Alt F, which you can use for parachute cloak. For gloves, it's engineering haste. Belt is grenade. Boots is rocket boots. And then this just helps me keep track of which items I've equipped, and then trinkets. I think there's a separate add-on for trinket menu, but I just use gear menu for the same purpose. And then Gladi and Gladiosa, or Gladiator Losar for PvP. GTFO, this is really important in boss fights. Essentially what it does is, if you are standing in something bad that's causing damage to you, it'll make like a beeping sound for you to get out of it. Heal comms, this is something I used to use when I was resto. It just shows incoming heals. Item rack, so this is kind of like gear menu except it serves a different purpose. So / item rack up. This allows you to make different sets. I think Blizzard incorporated something in the new WOTLK UI, but this is what it does. So it lets you make a set, and then you can title it, create an icon, and a keybind for it. So for cat form, I use U, and then for bear form, I use I, and then for my PvP set, I use Shift P. Little Buster, RIP. This add-on used to be awesome in TBC. What it would do is it would show percentages, sad ratings, and then also for base stats too. So for example, the 85 agility on these pants would show as like 1.5% crit or whatever the math is, but it's really useful to just track percentages based on just numbers. Hopefully they update it for WOTLK. That'd be awesome. I just checked Curse, and apparently it's not available for Classic or WOTLK. Hopefully that changes. Lose control WOTLK. What this does is it'll show if I'm incapacitated or silenced right here in the center of my screen, so it's really easy to track. With a timer too. So if you're like in a stun or silence, it'll have a countdown too for when you won't be anymore. Mixed scrolling combat text. This is one of my favorite add-ons too. What it does is it shows the damage you're doing for how much and what spell, and on AoE targets it'll show the total damage for how many mobs you're hitting, which is really good to see to keep track of cleaving for positioning. And then on the left side it'll show incoming heals and stuff, and then there'll be text up here showing for example like when procs are activated or when they're no longer activated, and when stuff comes off cooldown. It's really useful. I think I did the epic flight form with this druid, and TBC you'll have to go back and look, but his name looks familiar. Then minimap button bag. So this is up here. It just condenses all your minimap icons into one spot. So instead of having a bunch of stuff up here, it'll create a drop menu kind of, except it's horizontal, not vertical. But yeah. So it's really nice to have a clean minimap. I used to use neat plates up until like a week ago. I switched over to plater. I like to have a bigger nameplate now for PvP and PvE. I kind of miss how neat plates showed the combo points above your target, but I mean there's other ways to track it, so it just requires some adjusting. Omni CC and Omni cooldown. So Omni cooldown, if you're in a party, it'll show your other party members' cooldowns. So if you have someone in your party who has trouble keeping track of like Lust or Battle Res or Innervate, then you can keep an eye on it and call it out. And then Omni CC, I think what that does is these timers on your icons. So it's really good. It interfaces with the default UI, which is really nice. That's what I prefer. And it keeps track of your cooldowns. Shout out to Mokiki or Jordan for making that. It's fun to rank with you, dude. Miss playing with you. And go too. Pawn, what Pawn does is if you have a different item in your bag, it'll show how much it's an improvement. So at the bottom here, the numbers you see, like feral damage plus 2017%, it'll show you upgrades based on, I'm assuming, sims based on stats. But next up we have Plater. I already talked about pixel perfect align. So you'll see this in other videos. What it does is it allows you to so you go here, toggle grid, and it shows you like a map. So this is how I center all my stuff. You can like just play around with this grid and then move stuff wherever you see fitting, and then turn it off. You just go back to interface, toggle off. RC loot council, this is what my guild uses for loot. It's really, I'm not really sure how it works on the loot council end, but as just a regular raider, a bunch of items that you can use will pop up, and then you can click upgrade, side grade, off spec, or pass. And then save queue, shout out to Mokiki again. What this does is when you queue for a battleground, it'll only have an option to enter battle with a timer for how long you have before your queue disappears. So you can accidentally click cancel, and then it's also supposed to help you not miss your cue by showing you when it's supposed to pop, or when the pop will end. Simple interrupt to announce. I think this is just useful for like bear form. If you like bash something, it'll say, or like if you're kicking something. Feral DPS only has maim, which isn't really a kick, but it's mostly useful for tanks and classes that can kick. And then taco tip, I literally just installed this before recording, and what it does is it shows gear score and item level, in case anyone is curious. It keeps the default UI, it looks super clean. Might as well talk about character stats 2PC really quick. This just shows, you click here and then it shows a whole bunch of stats. So it's really useful to keep track of stuff that normally wouldn't show in the default. Like haste rating, you can go to speed, but it's just here to see as well, and armor pen, crit cap, stuff like that. Next up, vendor price. So what this does is it'll just show you how much an item is worth. And then also, I'm not sure if it's vendor price or auctionator, but one of them is also keeping track of the last auction, how scan I did. So global thermal sapper charges vendor for 50 silver, and when I bought these like half hour ago, they were 1 gold, 36 silver, 92 copper. And then the last one is we talked about character stats. So we see weak auras. So weak auras are super useful. I feel like it would take a whole separate video to go into them, but what it does is it allows you to pretty much create anything visually that you can think of to keep track of certain things, like whether it's for rotation or for bosses or party members. You can pretty much do anything with it. Check it out in other videos on YouTube. I'm sure there's lots of good information. And then finally, deadly boss mods. I feel like this doesn't really require too much explaining, but if anyone has not heard of it or used it before, it lets you know about boss mechanics during raid encounters, so that you can play your best and not die. Okay, those are all the add-ons I use. Yeah.